Hello, good evening and welcome to the primetime news on Joy News. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, lead counsel for the petitioners engages in a fierce banter with president of the panel of the Supreme Court judges over what he describes as unfair questioning by lead counsel for the respondent. Meanwhile, international auditing firm KPMG has agreed to audit the contentious pig sheets for free. Year-on-year inflation rate for the month of April rises to 10.6%, up by 0.2% from the March figure. In showbiz, Tema-based music group R2B's follow in Sarkodie's footsteps with a nomination for the 2013 Black Entertainment Awards. The Nigerian government has announced a massive campaign against Islamist militants in the country. We have all these plus sport coming up momentarily. Please stay with us. Welcome to the details of those headlines. Now, tempest flared at the Supreme Court this morning when a fierce banter ensued between the bench and bar in the ongoing presidential election petition. At one point in time, President of the panel of Supreme Court judges, Justice William Atuguba, ordered lead counsel for the petitioners, Philip Addison, to sit down to enable proceedings continue. Philip Addison was protesting what he described as unfair questioning of his clients by lead counsel for the respondents, Chachu Chikata.
I'm saying that you made public declarations that you had won from the results that you had.
The only person that declares a result ultimately is the Electoral Commissioner. And I'm not aware that we can declare the result. We can also express our feeling maybe that we...
just necessarily off tangent. The question is whether your people declared...
My Lord, we are being subjected to a number of irrelevant questions. And when the irrelevant questions are asked and the witness is giving the answers, he's being stopped in giving the answer. Whereas the questioner is not stopped in these irrelevant questions that are being asked.
Well,
and I think it is unfair that if he asks those questions, the witness should be allowed to give a full answer to those irrelevant questions.
Oh, now you have to take care about what your view is about relevancy. We are following the case, and relevancy depends on us.
I've objected to all these line of questions.
Will you resume your seat? Listen to me. The questions about declaration of victory and all that, if you feel they are irrelevant, as far as I'm concerned, they are vitally relevant to this case. And the answer he has to give should be pertinent.
This was the mood in court when counsel for the petitioners, Philip Addison, sought to challenge what he described as irrelevant questioning of Dr. Bawumia by Chachu Chikata. The banter between Philip Addison and the panel of judges became so heated that presiding judge, Justice William Atuguba, had no choice but to order him to sit down.
It's becoming very difficult for the witness to answer questions the way your lordship has problem with every answer that the witness gives. I see that it's going to be very difficult for him to answer the questions.
Because it has come to a stage when we think we have to, control these things.
The questions that he's asked, he's answering them according to the way he understands the question. But he's always limited in his answers.
Is what our party has decided is not coming.
He is not a lawyer, he's a layman. He's answering the questions the way he thinks he can answer them. So he has the restrictions of answers by the witness is limiting him in expressing himself. That is keeping his right to answer the questions.
Well, I think that what we are doing is within our authority and we will do it. Sit down.
Earlier, Justice Atuguba called on Dr. Bawumia to halt his apparent evasiveness in answering the questions posed to him by Chachu Chikata.
Doctor, you are very intelligent and all that. You see, help us. You see, look, this case, let me tell you, people are approaching it from two fronts. The political front, and then the issues here. We are dealing with only the issues here. So bring your mind to the courtroom. Let us get at the facts of the matter and ascertain the truth and declare it.
Spokesperson for both the petitioners and the respondents, in answering questions from journalists, expressed some concerns about the banter that occurred in court.
What the Chachu did was to test the veracity of the witnesses' claim, was to expose the inconsistencies in the witnesses' claim, and to also find out whether the witness can be credible. And so you notice that most of the time, Chachu would repeat some questions. The reason being that the witness is very evasive. Very simple questions, he will refuse to answer them. And so Chachu needed to pester and to continue asking those questions for him to admit. And that's why you saw that Chachu kept repeating those questions.
Normally when you attempt to file a document, you will first show it to counsel on the opposing side. The documents that were shown to us were not an affidavit, but rather detached documents of a letter written by the solicitor for the petitioners to Mr. Kwashi Aiden before the hearing even started. So we took objection to the tendering of a document, because when you want to tender a document, it has to be tendered in whole, be it that you want to rely only on a part of it. So we objected to it, and the objection was upheld.
Meanwhile, lead counsel for the third respondent, Chachu Chikata, has concluded, albeit temporarily, his 10-day-long cross-examination of star witness of the petitioner, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. The hearing and possible ruling on the application by Chachu Chikata to cross-examine the petitioner's witnesses who came by affidavit's evidence will determine whether he will continue cross-examining Dr. Baumia or not. Over the 10-day period, Dr. Baumia's credibility as a witness has been questioned on several occasions, with Chachu Chikata quizzing him about duplicate, triplicate, and quadruplicate pink sheets and attempts by the petitioners to deceive the court with the evidence presented. Proceedings have been meanwhile adjourned to Thursday, May 16th.
Meanwhile, international auditing firm KPMG has agreed to audit the contentious issue of the number of pink sheets filed by the petitioners free of charge. Justice William Matuguba, president of the panel of judges hearing the election petition at the Supreme Court, announced the decision to the court on Wednesday after the lunch break. In conveying the message, he described the offer as a certificate of good news. A sense of gratitude filled the court audience as the judge asked the court registrar to duly acknowledge KPMG for the gesture. He described their decision as noble and patriotic and asked that counsel and witness emulate their gesture by proceeding the second half of court proceedings without acrimony. Officials of KPMG were in court to acknowledge the judge's satisfaction of the good news. A 16-year-old mother of the conjoined twins born at the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital over the weekend and referred to the Central Regional Hospital has refused to see her babies. The teenage mother, who is said to be traumatized, is afraid of society's reaction. Medical Director of the Central Regional Hospital, Daniel Asari, tells Joy News the babies joined in the chest are doing well. They share one heart but have different stomachs. Doctors have advised against any attempt to separate the conjoined twins, whilst the Social Welfare Department in the region continues to persuade the mother to accept them. The father of the babies has reportedly refused to support the teenage mother. Meanwhile, hospital officials who have referred the babies to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital are still counseling family members on the necessary steps to be taken. Joy News' Central Regional Correspondent Richard Kojonyaku, who has been following the story, has also spoken with the mother of these babies. He joins us on the line for some update. Good evening to you, Kojo.
Good evening.
So what is the latest on this situation?
Well, this morning, the hospital officials were looking for the mother of the conjoined twins, and so the mother was nowhere to be found. So I led a team of the hospital officials to where the mother was staying, and so we brought the mother to the hospital. But the mother has since refused to see the babies apparently she is traumatized by the turn of event because, according to her, she's afraid that the public might scorn or might tease her with that because she's just 16 and this is the first delivery. And so if things have turned out this way, it is unfortunate on her part. And so she expressed some breast milk to be given to the baby, but has refused totally, despite the persuasion by the hospital officials for her to go and see the children that she has given birth to.
So, Kojo, we understand the babies have been referred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Can you confirm whether they are there for any surgery?
Yeah, it is. They have, yes, indeed, they have been referred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, but they have not been transferred formally to the hospital. They are putting certain things in order before these babies can be sent to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Meanwhile, the hospital officials are in talks with both families, the family of the boy and the family of the girl. I'm referring to them as boys and girls because the boy is 19 years old and he is a FICA, and the girl was a JSS pupil and she was 16, and so she apparently dropped out of school as a result of the pregnancy.
So the mother, we were told earlier on that she had not seen the babies, but some few hours have passed. Would you still confirm that she has not set eyes on these babies?
Yeah, she has not set eyes on the baby. I think the delivery was done at the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital, but because of the nature of the delivery, because of the nature of the pregnancy, so a cesarean session had to be done. And so immediately after that, the babies were referred to the Central Regional Hospital. So the mother was only told that this is the state of affairs, but hasn't seen the baby. So this one, when she was brought to the hospital, she rejected that she should see the babies. And so the babies, actually the mother has not seen the babies, but she has expressed some breast milk to be given to the babies.
The doctor's warning that any attempt to separate them could be fatal. What other advice have they given as far as these two babies are concerned?
The hospital officials are leaving nothing to chance because, according to them, if you watch the visuals and if you see how the babies look like, they are afraid that we might lose them. And so what they did essentially was to bring the families and the mother of the children to the hospital. They showed them pictures of certain deliveries that have also happened, and they were like this. And so they even cite examples of conjoined twins like this that become lawyers and doctors and other things. And so they are normal. It is something God has given them, and so they should be proud of that. So they were essentially counseling them to come to the terms that this is what she delivered, and so the family should accept like that. But when I spoke with the grandmom of these Siamese twins, the grandmom was saying that she can't accept the baby in their home, and so the mother also said the same thing, that they cannot accept because looking at where they are living and the society that they live in, the children cannot school in Cape Coast. They cannot live with them because people will tease them with that, and so they are appealing to government to come to their aid so that the babies can be adopted.
Many thanks to you there, Richard Kojo. We'll keep following that story so that we get updates on how those babies are doing. Related to the story, a baby boy less than a month old was found dumped in a refuse dump at Bubuashi, Atiku, near the White House. Witnesses say they heard the baby crying in the afternoon, but were not sure if it was a human being. Unfortunately, at 4 p.m. when they found that it was a baby, it was already dead. The caretaker of the site says he heard the cries about 45 minutes after a white Kia car dumped the refuse and paid him.
And I saw some rubber, and I tear the rubber, and I saw the small boy, and I went and called my elder brother that he should come and see. Right now, as well as I saw some driver brings Bola right now, so I was suspecting that driver. Kia Pride White.
When I came here, the baby was on the Bola. and then covered with clothes. So I opened it, I took the pictures. A gentleman came beside me and asking me what happened. So I explained everything to him. That was just what happened.
This one is somebody that did this, and that person, I'm not sure that is around this Mubashi. It's not around this area. Maybe bring it from far place inside this border, because this place it has never happened in this place before.
I would like to advise my electors that this is a sin. It's the greatest sin that one will ever commit, because there are people who have millions of cedis who are not getting a child. And if God has given you these great gifts, you shouldn't have done this. Even if the person doesn't like the child, can abandon the child in the hospital and go away.
While the feeding grant was pegged at 2 cedis 20 pesos per student for 3 meals a day, the goods and services grant was calculated depending on the number of students in the school and the location of the school. The headmistress noted that the goods and services grant given them are usually used to cover utility bills, fuel, maintenance, stationery, and administrative costs. Former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings has described the recent spate of killings and brutalities as an indication that the country is in chaos. According to her, there is no law and order, and it looks as if the country is fast running into an abyss. Nana Akufo-Addo made the comment on Adom FM's Jason Sem program Wednesday in connection with the recent killings in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. She said such heinous crimes only happen in a country where the law does not work, and that is the situation in the country. The former First Lady expressed worry about how government appointees attack anyone who attempts to offer constructive criticism on how the nation is being run. Quote, she says, if we don't criticize ourselves to correct the wrongs as a people, then this nation will be in a mess. She added that though the Kumasi shootings are worrying, the security service must be seen to be working to avert any future occurrence. The feuding Kokumba and Bimoba groups in the northern region have agreed to smoke the peace pipe following a facilitation process by the West African Network for Peace Building. The two groups have engaged in heated clashes earlier this year over land ownership. But a statement signed by representatives from both sides and released a while ago noted that both sides have agreed to end violence immediately and ensure peace prevails. Let's get on the phone lines now and speak with Daniel Dute, who represents the Kokumba and Bimoba sides. Hello, good evening to you, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, sister.
All right, so first, tell us, you indicated in your statement that you've agreed to end the violence immediately and to ensure peace holds. How exactly do you intend to do this?
Oh, yeah, thank you very much, and then the good listeners. We've realized that, in terms of conflict like this, there's no gain. People then tend to suffer, and a whole lot of blah, 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 and other not. When we talk of violence, there's no winner. So today, the two parties held a meeting with, I think, one team in, and then we all sat together and we've agreed and signed a peace process, a dialogue process, that we should end this violence crashes that most often renew itself in the form of what? Burning and destruction and looting and other not. So the two sides today agreed permanently by we coming together to understand that dialogue can only be the solution. So that is why today the two groups we met and we have actually agreed.
You're asking for support from government and other stakeholders. What sort of support are you talking about?
Pardon me?
You're asking for support from government to do this, to help you sustain this peace process that you've initiated. Now, what sort of support do you refer to in your statement?
Yeah, actually we are calling on government to come in because this whole thing of mediation process involves a whole lot of other support that we will need, because both groups were all coming from different villages and a distance, and other not transport and other not coming together. We agreed fully that this thing should not be done at our own village or one side of the village. We should do it at the neutral ground. And the neutral ground is a place that whereby we stipulated clearly. And we call on government to support the 1F group. And I think we are ready anywhere at all, because we want the peace of agreed fully, that peace to come.
Before we let you go, a lot of incidents have happened, and we know it's cost lives and properties. What lessons have you learned from the facilitation process with 1UP, and how will it help you sustain this peace process that you've started?
Yeah, first of all, I've learned that violence, there's no winner. Even if you are stronger, you can kill hundreds or thousands of property, raise them down, and then one person happens to raise your property, just single one, it's still a loss. One loss is loss. So for that matter, we've agreed that, yeah, we've seen it, not that we didn't agree necessarily, but we've seen it, that it affects, especially our commercial base, our children's schools, women, especially women and children, and then schools that are going on there now, because it has affected us a whole lot, both sides. Schools, for instance, I think the last exam, or current exam that SSDRI, so some people were actually out of this conflict. They were denied. They denied themselves. Let me put it that way. They were denied, which is not a best one. Nobody denied them, but this conflict denied them. And it doesn't pay. For that matter, we just need to see how we solve it, or come to a conclusion that, yeah, peace should continue for all of us to come out in order to do our business that can improve us or move us from the acute poverty. And as you know today, Millennium Development Goals, poverty is one of the key issues. And the little resources we have, why should we be destroying them again? So we learned a whole lot of it today. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Daniel Dut. He represents the Bimoba side of the feuding factions who are saying they're coming together on a peace accord. We'll try to get the Kokumba side, which is represented by Roland Imbui, for their side of the story, but we couldn't get them. We'll still make efforts to reach them, and when we do that, we'll speak to them on the first issue. But let's move on with some other stories. Now, District Chief Executive for the Sola Tuna Kalba District, Mumuni is Isaac Dramani, has expressed worry about the onset of galamsey activities near the Black Volta at Bali. According to him, the activities could potentially affect the volume of water flowing into the Bui Dam, thus impacting electricity production at the dam. He made the observation at the meeting with assembly members at Sola in the northern region, from where Rafiq Salam went.
Addressing the 47-member assembly at its first ordinary meeting, the district chief executive Mumuni Dramani expressed worry at the sprawling galamsey activities in the district. He warned persons engaged in the illegal activity to desist or face the full rigors of the law.
This activity not only illegal in nature, but also has the potential of preventing substantial volumes of water flowing into the Bui Dam for generating electricity to the nation. This illegal mining activity has been brought to the attention of the research and the national security, compelling the district security committee, that is DICE, to visit the place on 2 occasions.
The DCE was also worried about the falling standard of education, even though he says more than half of the Assembly's budget is spent on improving education in the district. He announced that as a short-term measure, the Assembly will work towards increasing the number of teachers sponsored for higher education, and will also review the sponsorship package for teachers to attract more of them to the district. He appealed to the District Directorate of Education to intensify its monitoring and supervision of schools to scale down teacher absenteeism. Rafiq Salam's report from Sola in the northern region.
A 5-car pileup accident occurred late last night in front of the Penkwa Papaya restaurant near Tesano in Accra, occasioning the deaths of at least 2 people.
The accident occurred when a cargo truck heading towards Achimota veered off its lane and crashed into 3 taxis and 1 urban bus moving in the opposite direction. The accident, which occurred around 9 p.m., drew a large crowd to the scene. In all, 8 people were trapped in the mangled vehicles. The driver of the cargo truck was the first to be rescued, but he absconded, sensing his life might be in danger. Some eyewitnesses spoke to Joy News.
In fact, ye ni pan kura gu wawie na ye pese police for no emwa ye ne form ngu kan no obi a twetwe ne ho etian ya san for so ya sisa omo so far nipa ya sisa omo sisi afisa taxi mu no omo ye 2 and other ones no so ye 2 ba me dem ye sure say 2 we ne yi omo akire de omo ye de me nya sure so omo benya nkwa nti ye bompa ye oba ne de em so wawu Obia de America na dey eba so obeboa the Ghana de numa police for say the musuba city and so mba mienu miensa ba omu jejina ho saa omu nya hwe e na ye de yensa eni ye boa say be page car no because driver ba ko ne no owu and so ye wie ye no ohye o sensamoa ne tisi form and if ye bubu dade a yitimi page car ni si on ye de page emu a ne timi yi no tie yi no car no kra omode ba eno ye dira kono kra no omo se ye nsa fa taxi ye fa ne mra sa no omode na ko asa ne yetimi yi na we ne kwa omode oba ne so ye de oba ne so ba tie yi oba ne wie no omode omoka de ba ombeje na omode ne ko
they called even the police people who came called the towing car driver. They say he wasn't around, he's gone home, so they called him. He stayed almost about 40 something minutes without coming. So the guys, we have to push the car, turn it outside down. They will break a signboard, use a metal to open the scramble car before we could get the people out of it. And now, after we've done that, I asked one of the guys to go and hire towing car for me. So they brought a towing car.
The Tesano Divisional Police Commander DSP Ernest Champong gave an account of the accident.
The information gathered revealed that 5 vehicles were involved. The breakdowns were that the cargo trucks was coming from Peace FM direction, heading towards Achimota with roads. And when they got to the Total Free Station, just on my left-hand side, he hit a taxi, which was ahead of him. As a result, he was controlled, veered from his lane, came to the other side. But then the other vehicles had stopped at the traffic light. So as soon as the green light came and they moved, the cargo hit the urban, and then the urban also hit the 2 taxis.
The crowd that marched up at the accident scene was not happy at all that the police allegedly delayed before getting to the scene. But the police explained the delay was caused by arrangements they were making with towing vehicles and ambulances to convey the victims to the hospital. DSP Ernest Champong said 2 out of the 8 victims trapped in the vehicles have died.
Joy News Business is brought to you in association.
Some business. Now, year-on-year inflation rate for the month of April 2013, as measured by the CPI, increased to 10.6% from the 10.4% recorded in March this year. This is the highest year-on-year inflation rate recorded since 2010.
The price drivers for food inflation were mineral water, soft drinks and juices, constituting 16.8%, milk, cheese and eggs, 15.4%, sugar, jam, honey, syrups, chocolate and confectionaries 11.4%, and coffee, tea and cocoa 11.8%. The non-food inflation rate was also driven by miscellaneous goods and services, transport, clothing, footwear and education. These were as a result of high demand for food products and other services during the festive period. This means the importation of food and non-food products and other services rendered during the Independence and Easter celebrations, coupled with the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar, accounted for the rise in inflation. The monthly change rate for April 2013 is 1.8%, and the monthly change rate for March 2013 was 1.7%. Greater Accra region recorded the highest inflationary rate of 12.6%. whilst the Western region had the lowest.
We are talking about April, say March, April, the festivities. And if we go back to the items, especially the non-food, the transport, education, clothing and water, housing, electricity, these, tobacco and alcohol, had raised far higher than the non-food group. This is a period where the demand for these items is on the ascendancy.
The food and non-alcoholic beverages group recorded an average year-on-year inflation rate of 6.4%, 0.9 percentage points higher than the 5.5% recorded in March 2013. The non-food group recorded a year-on-year rate of 13% in April 2013, compared to the 13.2% recorded in March 2013. Inflation was lowest in the communication subgroup, recording 0.4%. At the regional level, the year-on-year inflation rate ranged from 8.5% in the Western region to 12.6% in the Greater Accra region. Three regions, the Greater Accra, Ashanti and Volta regions, recorded inflation rates above the national average of 10.6%.
A study commissioned by Google has concluded that the internet has boosted innovation among small-scale business owners in Ghana. The findings of the study were made public at the launch of Innovation Ghana, a trade ministry initiative supported by Google. Innovation Ghana is aimed at strengthening and encouraging local products and services created by Ghanaians for Ghanaians.
Innovation Ghana was born from a study conducted by Delbecq and commissioned by Google, which revealed the socio-economic impact and potential of the internet in Ghana and how small and medium-scale enterprise owners expected that the internet would help them grow their businesses. The study also established that without sufficient investment in infrastructure, policymakers face limitations in their ability to drive socio-economic impact from internet usage by citizens.
Ghana is showing leadership in some cases, but I think all of these are very early stage, where we're seeing a lot of pilots, a lot of creativity and ideas, whether it is in health, the work that Pedigree has done on the anti-counterfeiting, or the work within agriculture, companies like Isoko starting to provide solutions for smallholder farmers. We're seeing a lot of early stage business models coming about, but certainly there's much more potential that still exists.
The launch of Innovation Ghana was also used to recognize 6 outstanding Ghanaian innovators who have used the internet to positively contribute to the economy by developing and infusing creative ideas into products and services.
The purpose is really to highlight the social and economic benefits of using the internet, adopting technology for individuals, businesses and organizations. So what we wanted to do was look for heroes that people could relate to, that were similar to them, but they had taken a bold step that a lot of other people haven't. So we didn't look for large organizations that we probably we're more familiar with, but companies that are run by young people, companies that do innovative things, organizations that do innovative things, and really highlight them and celebrate them.
In a speech delivered on behalf of the Minister of Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, he promised government's commitment to creating an enabling environment that would support innovation.
We'll continue to support greater access to the internet for Ghanaians by continuing to increase infrastructure access and to provide stable and high quality last-mile internet access to all. Developing infrastructure will increase access to information and allow new products and services to be built. These are the foundations for an innovative ecosystem. And this administration, through its agencies, remain dedicated to advancing innovation. We are committed to being the catalysts, leaders, and adopters of technologies that drive innovation.
The Innovation Ghana Heroes Award were presented to Later Games, Fashionette Ghana, Roots, Dream Oval, and Ghana Decides.
Ghana ranked number 1 in sub-Saharan Africa on the 2013 Resource Governance Index, which measures transparency and accountability in the oil and gas industry. With a composite score of 63%, Ghana ranked 15th out of 58 countries, but failed in publicizing mining contracts and licenses.
Ghana, according to the 2013 Resource Governance Index, RGI, by the Revenue Watch Institute, had a satisfactory score of 79% on how laws and institutional arrangements facilitate transparency, accountability, and fair competition in the mining sector. The country, however, had a partial score of 51% on how government discloses comprehensive information on the sector. The report added that less than 20% of the 58 countries surveyed had satisfactory standards of transparency and accountability, especially in the resource-dependent countries. Analysts are therefore recommending an improvement in the governance of the natural resource sector by enforcing laws in the sector.
Admittedly, Ghana has a relatively good legal framework that seeks to promote transparency and accountability and to control corruption, including in the extractive sector. These laws include the Supreme Law of the Land, that's the 1992 Constitution, the Financial Administration Act 2003-654 and its regulations, the Public Procurement Act 203, the Petroleum Commission Act, the Public Interest Accountability Committee Act. However, the problem with these laws is the fact that enforcement is lacking or weak. Can the score of 59 on the enabling environment be taken as a demonstration of the fact that Ghana is losing in its effort to attain good governance?
Others insist revenues from the mining sector must translate into development.
We need to encourage our government to improve on these fiscal reforms. We need to encourage our government to renegotiate the contracts. Contracts that were badly negotiated need to be looked at again. We need to invest these revenues in poverty-reducing areas, in poverty-reducing sectors of education, health, and agriculture. The heavier you invest in agriculture, the faster you take more people out of poverty, because majority of our population are in that sector.
Ghana has signed on to the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative to improve openness in the oil and gas sector, but the RGI says the non-passage of the Right to Information Bill weakens the initiative. The RGI also advises government to put in place local content policies to help transfer skills to local people and build local businesses.
Business.
Sports is brought to you in association with.
Right, time for the very latest in the world of sports. My name is George Adda Jr. and tonight we'll talk about the Europa League final. Of course, it was between Chelsea and Benfica. Chelsea are champions, and how well they were able to do it. Fernando Torres got the first goal, of course. Cardozo got the equalizer for Benfica. Then Branislav Ivanovic got the goal for Chelsea. That means that they have managed to win back-to-back titles. Remember, they're defending champions of the Champions League and now champions of the Europa. Let's find out how everything happened. Right, so that's how Chelsea managed to win that one. Very, very interesting scenes in All right, let's do a bit of cycling here in the country. And this year's Tour du Ghana cycling competition has been launched. The plush La Palm Beach Hotel with a call by organizers to put together the best organized tour in recent times. The event is to cost a whopping 780,000 Ghana cedis, which is almost 50% increase of the 519,378 Ghana cedis organizers spent on last year's event.
The event, which will see 12 strong teams pitching up against each other, would see cyclists take to some of the principal towns and cities to showcase their skill and potential. CEO of Promasido Ghana Limited, producers of leading beverage product Carbell, Olivier Thuy, expressed his company's delight at the growth of this event. The event, which would see 12 strong teams pitching up against each other, would see cyclists take to some of the principal towns and cities of Ghana to showcase their skill and potential. He added that together with other supporting partners, they were looking forward to 13 gruesome days of exciting cycling that could match up with the very best around the world. Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports, Joseph Yamin, who graced the occasion, applauded the sponsors' effort into complementing the role of a government. The chairman of the Ghana Cycling Federation, Mohamed Sanoun, spoke to Joy Sports and expressed his warmest gratitude to the sponsors for supporting the event from its early stages to the height in which the event has reached today.
Financing our promotional and developmental activities has been always troublesome or difficult. So Promasido, we've been partners for 3 years, and then it helps with the cyclists to have these sort of yearly events going through the whole Ghana and all that.
Marketing manager of Promasido Ghana Limited, Festus Tete, believes his company has benefited immensely by associating itself with the event and is already looking forward to the race.
There is no other sport today that takes you across 8 regions in one competition, in one swoop. That alone is mileage. And with the 2 last editions of the cycling tour, we have seen the results of the investment, and we have been very encouraged by that.
The tour is set to commence on the 27th of this month till the 8th day of June 2013 and is set to cover a distance of 2,516 kilometers across the length and breadth of the country.
All right, so just before I make a dash out of the studio, let me remind you, Brekum, Arsenal, Asante Kotoko and Medium FC have been banned by the Ghana Football Association from playing at the various home centres. That'll be all for sports. The name is George Adde Jr. Do you have a good night? Gift you join us for Showbiz.
Sports was brought to you in association with
Tema is gradually making its mark on the international music scene. This year, another Tema-based music act, R2Bs, has been nominated for the Black Entertainment Television or BET Awards. All right, so this is the end of the road for today's edition of Primetime News here on Joy News on Multi TV. Stories we've been looking at. Lead counsel for the petitioners engages in a fierce banter with President of the panel of Supreme Court judges over what he describes as unfair questioning by lead counsel for the respondents. Meanwhile, international auditing firm KPMG has agreed to audit the contentious pig sheet for free. Year-on-year inflation rate for the month of April rises to 10.6%, up by 0.2% from the March figure.